Yo, what's good? Welcome back to Next Gen Amolytics. Back for week 12 of the NFL this week. I'll give you guys a few player props that I like, as well as some anytime touchdown scores that I like as well. Let's get into it. Starting out here, I like Jason's receiving yards against this Tennessee defense. I know I picked him a couple times over the past couple weeks, but if it's not broke, don't fix it. This is a great spot against this Tennessee defense. Their secondary is depleted. They traded away McCreary. Snead is out, and I believe their second best corner is out as well. I think Jason continues to do his thing here. I have him at a floor of 70 with a ceiling of 80 plus receiving yards. Some notable receivers in their stats against Tennessee as of late. Nico Collins it was last week, sorry, that had 9 for 92. Pittman in week 8 had 8 for 95. Diggs had 7 for 69, but he's in the slot. Jason's normally on the outside. Marvin Harrison of Arizona had 4 for 98. So those are some notable names that have had great games against this Tennessee defense. I expect the same for him. He's covered both these lines in all games this year. The lowest game that he had was 79 yards against Arizona in week 4, in which he did actually didn't cover the ceiling that we have, but the floor he's covered in every single game this year, and he's covered the ceiling of 80 plus in all but one game. Next up here, I like Trey McBride's receiving yards against his Jacksonville defense. I have him at a floor of 60 plus with a ceiling of 70 plus. He's another player that I picked a couple times. However, I'm returning back to well just because this matchup is great for him. Jacksonville's 30th in the league right now in fantasy points given up to tight ends. Some notable performances against him. Kelsey, he's gotten older. However, he continues to do his thing. He went 7 for 61 with a touchdown against him. And then you have Brock Bowers went 12 for 127 and 3 touchdowns. And then Dalton Schultz went 7 for 53 and a touchdown against them. So some great performances, and they're giving up yards after the catch, I noticed. Some tight ends here at 29, 30, 31, 58. That plays into McBride's hand. He's been federal. The last 2 weeks went 10 for 115 against San Fran, 9 for 127 against Seattle. Has the air yards, 70, 100, 91, 78, 89. And he's also getting yards after the catch. I said, once Brissett took over, that helped him greatly. Brissett is looking to get him the ball. He's had double-digit targets in all but one game since Brissett took over. And this should be, and I will say that this game script has helped him, though. Arizona is not a good team by any means. So quite naturally, they're going to be down and they're going to have to pass the ball. And that's what happens. And so against this Jacksonville defense, they should be down. I see it being a negative, if not neutral, game script for them, and they're going to pass the ball. And then lastly, here for my player props, I like Jahmyr Gibbs rushing yards against this Giants defense. I got him at a floor of 60 plus with a ceiling of 70 plus. I believe this is a great spot for him at home in what should be a positive game script for Detroit. Dan Campbell loves to run the football when they're up, in which they should be in this game. Some notable performances against this Giants defense. McCaffrey had 106. Barkley had 150. Hampton of the Chargers had 128. Gibbs has done his thing twice, in the past a couple weeks, in which he had 136 against Tampa Bay, 142 against Washington. I will note that he had duds after those games, in which he had 9 for 25 against Minnesota and then 12 for 39 against Philly, in which Philly is a great defense. Minnesota's, decent at home. I don't necessarily understand that one. So that lowered his floor a little bit for me just because there's some variance, in between these games. So I still like him for the 60, in which he's covered that in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games on this year. And the 70 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games on this year. So I like this spot for him, in which they should be up, should be running the clock out against the Giants. And I think Jackson Dart isn't playing either, so that helps too. Stepping into my anytime touchdown scores, I like 2 tight ends on this week, in which I like McBride versus Jacksonville and then Kittle versus Carolina. McBride, similar to the stuff that I mentioned before with tight end performances against them, they've given up 6 tight end touchdowns on this year. 3 of those going to Bowers. McBride should have a similar performance. He scored in his last 5, so I expect that to continue on this week. And then with Kittle, he scored in his last 2, I believe 3 total. And then total wise, as far as tight end scores against Carolina, they've given up 4. And with Purdy back, and he likes to target Kittle too, I like this spot for him. So both of those are my touchdown picks on this week. Those are my player props and my anytime touchdown scores on this week. If you like these videos, please like, subscribe, and I also will drop my Discord link in the description below. Check that out if you want to join a community of people who love to talk sports. Let's go.